Darling, Mayor of the City of McAllen, and this is our Public Affairs Update. And today we're very fortunate to have our guest, Dr. Robert Nelson, President of the University of Texas at Pan American. Dr. Nelson, welcome.
Welcome. It's really a pleasure to be here with you today, Mayor.
And there's big things happening at Pan Am. I noticed last night, the first entry into the Western Athletic Conference, we were 500, the women won and the men weren't so successful, but it's a very exciting time for us there.
We did win last night. The women played very, very well. The men came very close. They got within 1 point and just couldn't quite get over the hump at the end. But we'll do well in the WAC. Next year, I'm even more excited. We've got a 6'11" player coming from Florida, and we've got a 6'10" player coming from Denmark.
Wow, and that's exciting being in the WAC now, because before not being affiliated with a conference, we were limited as far as the postseason play and just, I think, continuity of teams, and rivalries and those kind of things. Yeah,
the championship will be in Las Vegas. It has a long tradition of being there. There will be a lot of people. We hope a lot of people from McAllen will come and be at the championship. We're just excited to see us get the chance to be able to play in the big tournament.
Now, besides basketball, what other sports are WAC sports?
We've got 14 WAC sports. So we've got volleyball, we've got tennis, we've got golf, we've got soccer coming in. We're really excited about that. Women's soccer will start in the fall. Men's soccer will start the next year. We've got baseball. Our baseball team, I think, will do extremely well in the WAC.
Baseball used to be, Pan Am was pretty successful in baseball for years, and so hopefully we'll go back to those glory days, and certainly basketball from that standpoint. So it's an exciting time. Yeah,
Coach Al Ogletree was an amazing person, still is an amazing person, and he helped us move forward with baseball. And now Coach Manny Mantrana is really rebuilding that tradition in baseball.
And we have a unique advantage because of our weather, so we get a lot of teams from Big Ten, and some really good baseball programs come down to play at Pan Am early in the spring.
One of the highlights of my career here at the University of Texas Pan American was when we beat Notre Dame 2 out of 3.
That's right.
That was a great win.
And speaking of coming down from the cold, you're from Montana. I'm from New York. I came down because of warm weather, I guess. But Montana is still. You have a place up in Rio Doso, you said.
In New Mexico, so we go up there occasionally. But the valley's home. I love it here. I feel at home here. The people are so warm, and you can make such a difference. You can really get involved in the community. You can reach out, and what we're doing at Pan Am, what we're doing with the new university, is going to just transform not just McAllen, but this entire valley, this entire region.
It's a very exciting time for that. And now that we have the new name, Rio Grande Valley, I thought, what could it otherwise be than Rio Grande Valley? And somebody said, well, people up north don't know that. I think they do know that. And I'm very proud to be from the valley. And so I'm so happy that the new university is going to be named appropriately, because it is the Rio Grande Valley that we live in.
I'm a little saddened about losing the Pan Am name. Of course, everybody is, but this is much more important than that. And the Rio Grande Valley name, it says that we're a regional university. It says that we're for all 4 counties. It identifies us as something. And for those people who went de las Americas, I simply say Rio Grande. Okay, we've got the Spanish already in the name.
Oh, and you can roll those R's pretty good. That's good. You're a valley native almost from doing that. So what are some of the opportunities with the new university as a Tier 1 university that we can be looking forward to?
We will soon be an emerging research university. That means that we will be increasing the amount of research that will be happening here in the valley. We're looking at advanced computing, for instance, nanofiber, manufacturing, what we're going to do with aerospace engineering, biomedical engineering. All of those areas will be increasing, and the research dollars will be increasing as we go out for extramural funding.
We have those programs. We have a very, very sound foundation for that. We just didn't have the money to push it up to where it's...
We didn't have the money for the labs.
Right.
Just getting the science building that we're going to get now. That's $70 million for a new building. That will bring in $145 million in economic impact on top of that $70 million for there. It will have 52 labs. We didn't have that space to be able to do all of the research that we need to do. We're bringing in STARS faculty. One of them I think you'll be very excited about because he'll do a lot here in McAllen, especially down in the research park, with tool and die manufacturing, something that's a lost art form that we need to bring back if we're going to make the maquiladoras be successful.
I mean, my dad was a pattern maker,
Ah.
and somebody said, what's a pattern maker? I think it's fabrics, but it was a steel mill.
Yeah.
And the apprenticeship was a 9-year apprenticeship, and so it's hard to convince a kid coming out of high school, didn't know what a pattern maker was, to actually enter into that. And so you're right, it's a lost art. He literally, his last 10 years, went around the country assisting people in pours and those kind of things for steel.
Well,
And
some of the companies now have to send all the way to Japan to get the parts that they need. We'll be able to make the parts here.
so that's exciting, and that's an opportunity. Everybody thinks, well, you know, advanced degree education is really important. It certainly is, but there's a lot of opportunity for skilled labor that, like this lost art, and they're pay very good wages. And so I think hopefully we'll develop that. I want to say, when I grew up, kids around 10th grade, if they looked like they're going to drop out, they had an alternative. Went to what's called Edison Technical High School, and it was a technical high school, and they came out of those with very skilled labor, very high-paying jobs, and it was a profession. And hopefully we'll be identifying those kids that don't necessarily want to go on that track, but there are opportunities for them to improve their life otherwise.
Well, we're going to partner very closely with South Texas College in this initiative because they have an excellent technical training mission, and they do wonderful job with the certificates and everything else. So
Yeah.
partnerships is the most important thing.
And there's an opportunity to enhance that. We have a good relationship now between the college and the university and the college, and I think there's opportunities now with the university to everybody's going to get a little bit of enhancement, and STC is certainly on board for that.
Yes.
Now, from a standpoint of the medical school, that's kind of an exciting thing, and of course, I work for a hospital, and so I think yesterday, we filed our first application for GME accreditation for the internal medicine program. So how the relationship between the university and the medical community, how is that going to work?
I think that the most important thing is to build bridges between the medical community, between the academic community, and with the community and with the governmental organizations here. We need to build a strong partnership in that way. There will be probably 6 different residencies here in the Valley. There will be surgery, there will be obstetrics, there will be general medicine, there will be psychiatry, there will be pediatrics. And so we will start working with those hospitals, and Doctors Hospital has been wonderful, so has McAllen Medical Regional. All of them have been stepping forward. We already have about 30 residencies here in the Valley. We're going to increase that to over 150 residencies. Within 10 years, we expect to have 375 more doctors here in the Valley because of our partnerships with the hospitals.
And you know, we're recruiting people to be the faculty and the directors of the programs, and we're getting really great response at the hospital from people all over the country. And so I think that we're already on the map where we weren't on the map, say, a year and a half ago for certain things.
And this new university, the University of Texas-Rio Grande Valley, and with the medical school, this medical school will be on the cutting edge. It's not going to do the things that we did in the past. It's not going to have 25 different departments. It's going to go and work on problems. So you will actually engage doctors and nurses and physicians and anesthesiologists to work on cardiovascular, and that's how you'll learn to do that. You'll learn to do it in modular ways instead of the old-fashioned class ways. We'll be using a lot of mannequins. We'll be working directly in the hospitals, and it's just very exciting to create a new university, a new medical school, and that's why people want to come.
And that's the advantage. And they say that you know, you don't just go in the classroom and learn. It's we have pods and everybody's there contributing. And from a diagnosis standpoint, I would suspect that's really where you want to go, as opposed to one doctor to another. That's interesting on the remote learning now, and how that, you know, you watch. Thank God we're getting the buildings that we need to get. But at some point you wonder where remote learning and with internet learning, how that's going to change university settings in the future.
It's going to tremendously change. For instance, in the anatomy building that we're building right now, okay? All of that anatomy will be learned virtually. It'll be done on mannequins. It will be done on computer simulations. We're not going to have cadavers in there where you're working on cadavers. We're not going to be cutting up frogs anymore. You can actually do it virtually. And you're going to see that more and more in all areas. We're looking at a new biomedical program that we want to put in that will help all of the doctors out there to get their degrees in management so that they know what they're doing, or the nurses out there to go from their RN right now that they have that was an associate's degree to a BSN so that they've got their bachelor's degree. So we're going to see education changing. We're going to see competency models coming forward instead of giving your old grades like you used to. When you have learned how to do a task, then move on to the next task instead of just waiting for everybody else to catch up to the smart kid.
Now, where are we now in the changeover process? We got the name. We're still talking about the administrative office. Of course, we won't talk about that on the air, but at any rate, where are we in relationship to the transition to the new university?
We're talking to the accrediting agencies. That's part of the biggest. You've got to talk to the LCME, which does the medical school. You've got to talk to the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, which does the whole university. And then you've got a lot of other accrediting agencies that we're talking to right now so that we can be fully accredited by August 2015 when we enroll the first class. We're also embarking on a search for a new president, and that is, we should have a new president in place by August 2015. Yes, absolutely. But probably by April 2014, we'll have a new president in place, and that president will help to guide where we're going next and help to unify the campuses together. Not
quite as important as a football coach search, but at any rate, very important. I'm just being facetious, but very important position that's going to happen with the new university, and it's going to take the right person to going to have to make sure that the regionalization concept stays in place, and I think that's going to be a challenge, although I think, I keep telling like the local hospitals, we're always going to compete, but there's opportunities now that none of us can do individually that we can do together, and we need to look for those opportunities, and that's what regionalization is all about.
Yeah, that's why I used the word bridge builder a little bit earlier. I think that the new president, the number one characteristic that president has to have is to build bridges, to really connect with the community, to really connect with the hospitals, and to help the hospitals so that they don't compete against each other. Yeah, there's competition, but not that type of competition where you're actually trying to lift the level of health care for the entire valley.
What do you feel the biggest challenges are as we approach the new university? I mean, we talked about the opportunities and the potential. What are the challenges you think that will have to be overcome to make this truly successful, where somebody from Austin says, I want to go down to UT-RGV?
We are raising standards. There's no question about that. And anytime you raise standards, there's anxiety. We are coming together and deciding what programs we're going to have and which programs will be the centers of excellence. We have 38 working groups that are busy, 48 working groups that are busy working on these, and it's getting everyone to be able to talk so that there isn't competition between Brownsville and us at Pan Am, or between the hospitals and us. Let's all get on the same page. Those conversations are hard conversations, and there will be decisions about, who the new presidents is going to be, who the new vice presidents are going to be. We've got to work out that whole organizational structure. That's going to, that creates anxiety. People worry about jobs. They shouldn't, because we're going to grow, we're going to get bigger. We have to, so much. We're growing right now at almost 5%. We can grow even faster than that, and with the new university, that will happen.
And I think it's up to us then, part of the challenge is to provide the jobs for the kids coming out of there with these advanced degrees so that they stay here. And the opportunity is not only from the kids locally, but people that come down to make sure that there's an opportunity for them to take that education and put it into a real-life job. And I think that's a challenge to throw down to local governments and local businesses to make sure that happens.
But we have to work with you. That's our responsibility to really be there, to build a spirit of entrepreneurship, to help build the new businesses that will be out there that will need these students. And if we work together, we can do that. That's why the research, we all talk about the hospital being so important, but the research is going to be so important because making new biomedical devices, okay, that creates jobs all the way around. Creates jobs for accountants, creates jobs for, you know, the people who are actually making the machines, creates jobs even for janitors. Every way.
It's all important. And so now, your role now at this point in the transition is important. And how are you handling that? And with
Well, I have the anxiety like everybody else, but I'm really happy about what's happening. I go to work every day seeing the possibilities, and they're just amazing because they're for our students and they're for the residents of the Valley. I've applied for the presidency. We'll see. I've got an interview in a couple weeks, and we'll see how that all shakes out. But in the end, this is so huge. It is much bigger than me. It's much bigger than any one person that there is. I think that the governor saw that when he decided that he was going to endorse it. Certainly the regents have seen it, the chancellor has seen it, President Garcia in Brownsville has seen it. This is really for the Valley itself.
You know, it seems like when we do things in the Valley, like the water issue and drought issues, we're just different than the rest of the state, both statutorily and, you know, we have an international river that's our water source. And it's kind of like the same thing. We're starting a university that's kind of unique. Not many universities are 60 miles. The main campuses will be 60 miles apart. We looked at other places that have had similar situations in their growth.
Yes, we have. There are some consolidations that have taken place in Georgia that we've looked at. We're not consolidating, so we're different in that way. We're really creating a new university. There's the University of Toledo that has come together with a hospital, and in that way we're looking at them. One of the very best models is the largest university in the United States right now, and I don't think most people know that. That's Arizona State. And they have multiple campuses that are much farther apart than we are. And they do so much with the digital world and with distance education and transformative learning. We're working with a group in Austin right now, the Institute for Transformative Learning, which is the ITL, and they're helping us to work out ways so that we can broadcast classes from one campus to another campus, work out ways that we have new forms of education taking place.
It's kind of like a microscopic, I mean, the UT system is spread all over the state of Texas, and so it's kind of microscopic. It's not a system, but you can kind of take examples from that. You know, one of the things that I've noticed over the years, it's been very difficult for like secretaries that have worked in our offices. They're trying to go back and get their education. It's been very it's such a long process, primarily because they're working, they only take 1 or 2 courses. But then the availability of courses, and you know, you would think with distance learning it would open up that. Is there any plans for that with the new university?
Absolutely. We will increase by 30 to 50% more classes online as we move forward, and we're putting individual degrees online. In some ways, Brownsville has done a better job than Pan Am at this. They were the first in the UT system to have a full degree plan online. We will have a lot of them online in the future, and they will be in those areas where people who are professionals who need to work all the time can do it. We've already started with the MBA. It's now online. The Masters of Public Administration is also online. We're putting a Masters of Accountancy online. The Masters of Health that I just talked about will go online. So we're starting to move in that direction very, very fast.
And some of these programs will be turned into PhD programs, I understand, because new university for Tier 1 has requirement for that. And hopefully McAllen will have some of that activity here. We already have the
You've already got the master's programs here. Yeah. We've deliberately turned the teaching, the McAllen Teaching Center, into a professional center, so that when professionals just need to get off of 83 and get on to class, they can just go there. We teach a lot of the classes at night, a lot of the classes on weekends, so that the professionals can go there. Yes, we have to have doctoral programs. To reach the emerging research numbers that we need, we have to be graduating a lot more doctorates than we are right now. I expect to see an audiology doctorate very soon. I expect to see a manufacturing and mechanical engineering doctorate very soon. We'll see them in the basic sciences coming. I've already challenged the Mexican-American Studies program. Let's be the first Mexican-American Studies doctoral program here in the Valley, because it makes sense, right? We're going to be the gateways to the Americas, so let's really embrace our culture and do that. So we'll see a lot more doctoral programs.
I know I taught over at the MPA program, although they take me, so they haven't asked me back, but it's a really nice facility. I don't know people know that's in McAllen and located there. I think one of the challenges, and I don't know if this is university level, but you know, people with an iPhone now have instant access to information they never had before, and I think one of the things we were talking about is rote learning is not as important because you can look it up. So I don't necessarily need to know all 48 presidents or whatever it is. I need to know about them and what they did. And so kind of like the first 4 years of education, and you need to, I don't know how you accelerate that, but I'm sure it's also at the university level, and how in 20 years from now it's going to be, probably even now, but I mean the substantial changes in education, how you educate people, I think are going to be challenging.
It's going to change. We have, whereas we used to have computer labs on campus and everyone was just dying to get into the computer lab, well, it's all virtual now. 80% of our students have laptops. That's hard to believe. 84% of them have smartphones. So they're able to use those to actually even take classes. And they can do it virtually. They can get into the labs. They can get any of the software that they need at this point. And going back to the Institute for Transformative Learning, that's where we're really working very closely with them about how people will learn new. How it will be different from how they've learned. When I was a professor, I had my notes, and I went in there and I did my notes and I read them and everybody wrote everything down. Well, some of the new classes are going to be what it's called flipped classes. You will actually watch you teach before you come to the class, and then when you come to the class, you will problem solve.
Right.
You're not going to be going in there and just writing down the notes, because that's happened on the TV beforehand or on the computer screen. You'll go in there and you'll have actual real world problems and you'll start solving. You'll go in there, in my case with creative writing, instead of me telling you how to write and here's what a character, I'll have told you that before you go in there. You'll go in there and we'll work together on that actual story that you're going to be working on. So it goes from engineering, where you go in and go into a lab and start bending whatever you're bending,
right,
and working on that, to creative writing. It's a new world.
I had a little bit of that in 1973. As my daughter would say, that's pretty Jurassic, Dad. But at any rate, I took a statistics course, and it was a 4-hour exam because it was before computers or calculators, and so you had to do everything by hand, the math. And then the very next year they had computers, and by the way, they were like $1,500 for something you buy for probably $50 now. But the exam became an hour exam. Mm-hmm. And you spent the time learning the statistical analysis of what you're doing as opposed to the mathematics. And so it's kind of projecting now 40 years later, there's huge opportunities for that where, like you say, interpersonal skills and cognitive skills versus just writing down notes and trying to remember what they were for a test.
Critical thinking is so important nowadays, being able to solve problems, being in the real world. And I remember those times, and everybody said, well, you're not going to learn anything, and the world's going to go to pot,
right,
okay, because everyone's just got to have their computers. No. Look at this world that we're in today and how much better it is than our parents had, and just dream for what our children are going to have.
And speaking of that, your PhD is in what subject is?
That's an interesting question. It's in Committee on Social Thought, so it's in social thought. We didn't have any curriculum at all. We read whatever our professors were reading at the time, and then you took a series of exams, which was over 100 pages you had to write for your PhD, and then you just wrote a dissertation. So I had that experience of not having a real classroom experience. That's one of the things that excites me about this new university, where we can think about being interdisciplinary. The new medical school is going to be interdisciplinary, working together. It's just amazing.
So your PhD was before its time. Because
Yeah.
now you're grappling with those issues with students and from an everyday standpoint.
Exactly.
Instead of theoretical. Well, this is really exciting times, and anything else you want to talk about the new university?
Well,
What's the mascot going to be? No, I don't put you on the spot.
Oh, we don't know, but I can tell you the process for that, and I think that's important because they've got to make a decision about the mascot. Got to make a decision about colors. The students will generate those ideas, and they will come forward with them. They will ask the community to comment on them, much like we did on the names, but
Right.
the students will actually come up with the original list, not UT System or anyone else. They'll come up, and then people will be able to comment, and then they will work with the new president to make a decision about that. You know,
Well-
I'm a little, that horse means a lot to me.
Right.
But whatever happens will be.
Well, speaking of the new president, best wishes. We really appreciate what you've done for the university, and that's been your life for the last couple of years, and we know that there's nobody with the experience in what's happened there and where we're going to go than you, so good luck.
Thank you very much. I love this valley. I love McAllen. It's been a wonderful opportunity, and I want to stay, and I want to keep working with the people here.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Nelson.
Thank you.
And this has been your City of McAllen Public Access Update.